Donald Trump's presidency is shaping up to be one of the best in US history. That is, if you like laughing through the pain like me. Just looking into who he is nominating to his cabinet, this man's presidency is about to be a shit show. And I'm all here for it. I've got my popcorn, I've got good credit for when I inevitably need to take a loan out to pay for my rent. I am so ready for the next 4 years. First, I want to address the economy, because this was the most important issue to voters. I'm just going to be upfront and say that I do not think his economic plan is good. In fact, I'll go as far as to say I think that he's going to make the economy worse. His big plan is to raise tariffs and make China pay for them. Finally. Unfortunately, a lot of people don't know what a tariff is, because after the election, there was a rise in searches for what is a tariff. Well, I will be more than happy to explain to people what a tariff is. So a tariff is a tax that is placed on imports and exports. So that means that when a company imports a product, they have to pay an extra amount of money to import said product. This means that it costs more to import materials for a product. And when it costs more to make a product, you have to rise the price that you are selling it for to the consumer to make a profit. So the easiest way to explain it is that a tariff is a sales tax. Now, tariffs can be good because they can stop businesses from only relying on getting their products from overseas sweatshops, which I think anyone could agree that's a good thing. And I see Trump's vision. I do. I see that he wants more stuff to be US made. And in a perfect world, I would agree with him. I hate how much we rely on other countries for essential products here, but we don't live in a perfect world, and we cannot shift the entire economy from going and getting all of our products from overseas to now manufacturing all in the US. We live in a country where billion-dollar companies are importing tons of product, from all of the chips we use in our computers and phones to the clothes that we have on our backs. And these businesses do not have the capabilities to just build up a bunch of factories overnight to make all of their product. So these high tariffs are essentially just going to be a sales tax for nothing. You won't even have the money to go and pay for stuff made in the US because all of your money is going to be sucked up by having to go to Walmart to buy food. Better find your local Amish market, I guess. I think that these tariffs are going to be a lot like the Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act in 1930. Now, I know it's not 1930 and the world has changed a lot, but I do think that these high tariffs are going to have the same effect that it had back then. Other countries are going to raise their tariffs on American goods, and then it's going to cause an international trade war, and maybe even cause us to go into a recession, maybe even a depression. Tariffs can be good, don't get me wrong, but they cannot just be suddenly raised to exponentially high levels overnight, which is what Trump is going to do. But none of that matters, so he's going to do it anyway. Let's look at some of his other economic policies. No tax on tips. God, I am so happy that I can't just go out and eat a meal without being hounded to pay for an employee's salary. Why can't the company they work for just pay them at a proper level? I like tipping. Don't get me wrong. I like tipping, but I'm also a little bit of an asshole, and I personally feel like it is not my job to reward someone who is just doing the bare minimum of their job. No tax on overtime, and we'll have to see. I cannot wait to see the companies that have all of their employees fighting, scratching, crawling for whatever overtime hours they can get. I also can't wait for CEOs who make millions of dollars to mysteriously start putting their hours in as overtime as well. Oh my gosh, I sat in on one meeting and sent one email. That's about 4 hours of overtime right there. Lower taxes? Wait, so you're telling me that I take home more money? Finally, yes. Wait, so if he cuts taxes at the same rate, someone who makes $100,000 a year and gets a 2% tax cut isn't the same as Amazon getting a 2% tax cut? Well, that's not fair. Why can't Amazon just pay more in taxes? Oh, right. So Jeff Bezos can buy yachts in the Netherlands and ask to destroy historical bridges. My bad. I guess feeding my family is less important than that. Trickle-down economics, baby. It works every time. Now let's move on to the fun part. Trump's cabinet. As of today, Trump's cabinet includes someone who is being investigated for having sex with a minor, someone who was investigated for sexual assault, someone who is known for not protecting the environment at all, being in charge of the EPA, a warmonger, a guy who has literally gotten a brain worm and has eaten dogs be in charge of the country's health, and a billionaire who Trump is already getting tired of. I don't know about you, but I'm excited to see what this administration does. Now, let's get serious for a second. Do I think Trump will make things worse? For some, yes. If you are middle to lower class, your life will probably be worse. If you are a minority, immigrant, or member of the LGBT, then your life will probably get worse. However, if you are rich, then you have a lot to look forward to because studies have shown that Trump's policies disproportionately help the rich. It sucks, but all we can do is just suffer and make another damage reduction vote in 4 years. Now let's move on to some of my hot takes. Do I think Trump will be a dictator? No, I actually don't think he will be. I think that he is going to do things that are borderline trying to be dictator, but I don't think he himself will ever be a dictator. I used to be scared of him trying to be a dictator, but I think if you look back at his first presidency, you can see a lot of reasons as to why it probably won't happen. First, which is my favorite stat, Trump spent nearly 10% of his days in office golfing. Now, I don't know about you, but I think he's gonna break that record. They should be putting bets like that on Polymarket. Oh, never mind. Second, Trump's turnover rate was 92% in his first term. That means that people did not like working for him, but also did not fear him enough to not leave. To be a dictator, I feel like you have to have some level of fear within people, and I don't think Trump instills that fear within people. People fear the ramifications of the policies and actions that he commits, but if someone was standing in a room with Trump, I don't think that they would be that fearful of him as a person. He will constantly be challenged during his presidency on what he thinks and what he should do. People are constantly going to try to implement their own ideas, and even though he has all 3 chambers of Congress, there are Republicans out there who have already come out and said that they will push back when he tries to go too far. I mean, funny backgrounds aside, look at who he's appointing to his cabinet. Vivek Ramaswamy has openly criticized Trump, and yet you appoint him to your cabinet? To the Department of Efficiency? RFK is literally a wannabe Democrat who is pissed that the Democratic Party didn't support him. He's like Bernie Sanders, but with more brain worms. It seems like everyone that he is appointing into his cabinet are all just power hungry and they want their slice of the pie. I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of people in his cabinet just see him as a stepping stone so that they can be where he is one day. But there's one real reason why I do not feel like Trump will be a dictator. Despite everything else, Trump cannot be a dictator because he himself serves a dictator. Russia's largest news agency said that Trump serves those who brought him into power. Why is a Russian agency talking about a US president and how they need to serve those who brought him into power? With Russia's ties and election interference dating back to 2016, and with it recently coming out that they were paying right-wing influencers large amounts of money, it's hard for me not to believe that Russia is one of those forces they're referring to. I don't know what the future's gonna look like, but I cannot wait to see the files that are released in 30 to 40 years about how Trump was conflicted with serving America or serving Putin. So overall, what do I think Trump's presidency is gonna look like? I think the rich will get richer, like usual. I think people will find a way to not hold him accountable for his failures. I think Trump's cabinet is going to be a bunch of out-of-touch, egotistical maniacs fighting for their ideas to be implemented. And I unfortunately think that there's going to be a lot more war in the world. War over big dictator warmongers trying to take over places that they feel that they're entitled to. So, pretty much any other Republican presidency in history.